I'm a 26-year-old woman whose closest friend, Lisa, also 26, recently got engaged to Mark, a 26-year-old man. Lisa and I have been thick as thieves for over 10 years, and I was over the moon when she and Mark shared their engagement news. Mark is, by all accounts, a fantastic guy who treats Lisa like royalty. Over the 3 years they've been together, I've grown close to him, and I was nearly as excited for their wedding as Lisa was. When they first started dating, I genuinely believed they were a perfect pair. Mark is completely devoted to her. For background, Lisa and I have been best friends since high school. Her family practically raised me alongside her, and my family treated her like one of our own. We were the kind of friends who shared a single brain cell, inside jokes, completing each other's sentences, and acting like total dorks together. We navigated life's highs and lows side by side, even attending senior prom together when we were both single. I truly saw her as a sister. That's why what happened at their engagement party has left me livid. I never imagined Lisa capable of something like this. The engagement party took place last weekend at an elegant venue. I was essentially the maid of honor. Lisa hadn't formally asked, but it was understood. So I spent the day running around to ensure everything went smoothly. The event was wonderful at first, free champagne, heartfelt toasts, and dancing. I was genuinely thrilled for my best friend. At one point, I sat down to catch my breath. Lisa had left her phone near her bag on the table while she mingled and danced. Her phone buzzed a few times. I don't usually pry, but the screen lit up, and I instinctively glanced over. A text notification caught my attention from someone saved as Alex. A photo thumbnail appeared with the message, a shirtless mirror selfie of a guy, clearly not Mark's physique. The text read something like, "Missing you already. Can't wait for Monday. Alex." I did a double take. I thought maybe I was misreading it. Perhaps Alex was a friend joking around. But the flirty tone and shirtless photo were unmistakable. Anger and disbelief surged through me. This was her engagement party, and some guy was sending her suggestive photos. I grabbed Lisa's phone and went to find her. I spotted her across the room chatting with guests and pulled her aside, saying we needed to talk immediately. Trying to avoid a scene, I led her to a bathroom down the hall, locked the door, and showed her the phone. "What is this?" I demanded. "Who's Alex and why is he sending you that?" Lisa's face drained of color. She grabbed the phone and tried to brush it off, saying, "It's nothing, just a friend." I wasn't buying it. "Cut it out, Lisa," I said. "Friends don't send photos like that." "Are you cheating on Mark?" She kept insisting it wasn't what I thought. After a tense back and forth with me refusing to let her dodge, Lisa broke down in tears and confessed. She admitted she'd been having an affair for 6 months with a coworker named Alexander. Alex, obviously. I was stunned, yet somehow not entirely surprised. Part of me had already connected the dots when I saw the texts, but hearing her admit it was surreal. She kept sobbing, "I love Mark, I really do, I don't want to lose him." She said her thing with Alex just happened. It started as an emotional connection at work, then became physical. She claimed it was a mistake she couldn't end because she had feelings for Alex too, but then she'd insist, "I love Mark, I swear, I can't lose him." It was a flood of excuses while I stood there dumbfounded. I was furious and probably harsher than I'd ever been with her. I told her she was being selfish and cruel. Mark does everything for her, he practically worships her, and this is how she repays him. We argued heatedly in that bathroom. I asked how she'd feel if Mark were cheating on her. She cried, "I'd be devastated," but then added, "That's why he can never know." She begged me to keep quiet, especially to Mark. I felt sick about the situation. I couldn't believe I was even considering staying silent, but this was my best friend of over a decade pleading desperately, and it put me in an awful position. I didn't want to ruin their relationship, but I also believed Mark deserved to know what he was signing up for before marrying her. I was and still am disgusted by her actions. I told her plainly, "If you don't tell Mark I will, I'm not lying for you, he deserves the truth." Lisa panicked. She went from crying to full-blown hysteria, grabbing my hands, her nails digging in. "No, you can't. Not tonight, please. We just got engaged. It'll ruin everything." She was on the bathroom floor in her party dress, makeup streaked everywhere. It was pitiful, heartbreaking, and infuriating. She begged for 2 weeks. Against my better judgment, I relented and said, "Fine, you have 2 weeks. But if you haven't ended it and told him by then, I will." I made it clear I wasn't bluffing. She nodded, thanking me repeatedly, promising she'd handle it. We left the bathroom after she fixed her appearance. I told her to pull herself together for the party, and I downed a glass of champagne to cope. For the rest of the night, I could barely look at Mark's happy face without feeling ill, knowing what I knew. I felt complicit just by staying quiet. Lisa avoided me unless necessary, and I left the party as soon as I could. Now, days later, I'm still reeling. Lisa has texted me a few times, repeating, "Please, I'm working on it, don't do anything yet." I haven't told anyone, not Mark, not our friends. But it's eating me up. I hate keeping secrets and despise this situation. Mark is a great guy who doesn't deserve this. Part of me wants to tell him now. Another part feels this isn't my relationship, and maybe it's not my place to intervene. But Lisa's acting like I'd be a terrible friend for considering telling Mark. She hasn't said it outright, but her pleading implies I'd be betraying her. I feel she's the one who betrayed both Mark and me. I gave her a chance to come clean or end the affair, but I doubt she'll follow through. I'm torn between keeping this secret or appending someone I care about. Would I be wrong to tell Mark about Lisa's affair? Update 1, it's been about 2 weeks since my original post. I read the feedback, and wow, people were blunt. Most agreed I wouldn't be wrong to tell Mark, and that my loyalty should be to the person being cheated on, not the cheater. Many urged me to tell him immediately. I agreed in theory, but as you know, I gave Lisa a short window to confess or end her affair. Looking back, maybe I was too lenient or naive. Here's what's happened since. After the engagement party, I kept my distance from Lisa. I was too angry and disappointed to talk much. She flooded my phone with apologies and promises, insisting she just needed time to fix things. We met in person a few days after the party when she showed up unannounced at my apartment. Lisa looked exhausted. She said she'd end things with Alex, that she loved Mark and knew she'd screwed up. She claimed she didn't want to act hastily and needed to let Alex down gently. It sounded like excuses, but I reminded her of the deadline. Over the next week, I barely saw her. I heard from friends that Lisa and Mark were still planning their wedding, posting about venue tour and such. That worried me. Had she actually ended things with Alex? Her lack of updates was suspicious. When I texted her once to ask if she'd handled it, she replied, "Working on it, don't stress." Hardly reassuring. By the end of the 2 weeks, I suspected she hadn't done anything. She was trying to stall me. I decided to meet her face-to-face one last time before acting. I invited her to my place. She came reluctantly, and the tension was palpable. We sat in my living room, and I asked, "Did you end it with Alex?" Lisa looked away and mumbled, "I'm handling it." That wasn't the answer I wanted. I pressed, "Have you told him it's over? Yes or no?" She got defensive, snapping, "It's complicated." I was done playing games. I told her the 2 weeks were up, and she'd done nothing. I'd kept quiet as promised, and she'd let me down. Then Lisa dropped a bombshell that floored me. She admitted she had no real intention of fully ending things with Alex. She said verbatim, "Mark is stable and I love him. He's good for my future, but what I have with Alex is different. It's intense and real in its own way. Marriage is just a contract. It doesn't have to change what Alex and I have." My jaw dropped. I asked, "Are you seriously planning to keep seeing Alex after marrying Mark?" She shrugged like it was no big deal, saying, "Plenty of people have side relationships, they just don't admit it. Mark won't find out. I can keep him happy and still have my own happiness." I was appalled. I told her that was the most selfish, twisted logic I'd ever heard. She rolled her eyes, saying I wouldn't get it because I'm single and don't understand loving two people. That conversation turned into our worst fight ever. I yelled that she was delusional if she thought this could work, and that she clearly didn't respect Mark, treating him like a naive backup plan. She snapped back, accusing me of judging her, and saying I had no right to control her life. I said if she went through with this, she'd be living a lie and trapping Mark in a sham marriage. She called me overdramatic, insisting it was her life. It ended with me saying, "Fine, it's your life, but Mark deserves to know what he's getting into. I'll make sure he does." Lisa went pale, then furious. She cried angry tears, calling me a traitor and saying I was supposed to be her best friend. I told her, "You chose this path, not me. I warned you." I basically kicked her out because I couldn't stand to look at her. As she left, she screamed that if I told Mark I was dead to her. I replied, "Lisa, you made yourself dead to me when you kept cheating behind Mark's back." Our friendship is basically ashes now. I mourned it in that moment. She clearly wasn't going to do the right thing, so I had to. I decided to gather evidence and tell Mark everything. I didn't want it to be her word against mine, knowing she might paint me as a liar. Unfortunately, I only had my account of the texts from the party. I'll find proof if I need to. Update 2, a few days after my fight with Lisa, I had an unexpected run-in with Alex that felt like fate. For context, Lisa is a nurse at a hospital. I'd met Alex briefly months ago when I had lunch with Lisa near her workplace. She introduced him as my work friend Alex, and I thought nothing of it. I was at the hospital handling insurance paperwork when I nearly bumped into Alex in a hallway. He recognized me first, saying, "Hey, you're Lisa's friend, right?" I forced a smile and nodded. Inside, I was fuming, but I reminded myself he likely thought I was clueless. He might even believe Lisa and Mark were done. I played it cool to get information. We chatted briefly. I mentioned I was there for paperwork and asked if he was working. He said he'd just finished his shift. I casually asked if he knew anything about Lisa's life with Mark lately. He nodded, lowered his voice, and said, "Off the record, I'm not a fan of Lisa's ex." "Her ex?" I asked, stunned. He said, "Yeah, that Mark guy." He called Mark her ex-boyfriend. I probed, "Why don't you like Mark?" He sighed, saying, "I shouldn't say this, but he was controlling and didn't treat her well. I'm glad she's moving on." I had to bite my tongue. The irony of him calling Mark the kindest guy controlling based on Lisa's lies was staggering. I asked, "Moving on? What do you mean?" He said, "She told me she's breaking it off with him soon, waiting until after the holidays to avoid drama. She says he doesn't handle breakups well, kind of obsessive." That's when I realized the depth of Lisa's deception. She was lying to both men. I took a breath and said, "I hate to tell you this, but Mark isn't her ex. He's her fiance. They're planning their wedding. They just had an engagement party." Alex looked shocked, then laughed, thinking I was joking. When I insisted I was serious, his face shifted through anger and confusion. He muttered, "She told me they broke up months ago, that he's still clingy." I shook my head. "She's been with him the whole time, lying to you and Mark." Alex looked genuinely upset. He said, "I can't believe this. She said I was the only one." I told him I found out at the engagement party via his texts and gave Lisa a chance to confess. We stepped aside in the hallway for privacy. Alex offered to show me their messages to back up his story. I jumped at the chance. We found a quiet spot and he showed me his phone. The texts confirmed Lisa's two-faced behavior. Recent messages showed her mocking Mark, saying things like, My ex is texting me again, so clingy." Another called Mark stable but dull and told Alex, "I can't wait to be free so we can be together openly." It infuriated me. She was stringing Alex along with promises of leaving Mark while telling me she'd never leave Mark. I asked Alex if he'd share the messages, as they'd be undeniable proof for Mark. He agreed, angry at being lied to. I took screenshots of the texts, including timestamps and Lisa's contact photo, a cute selfie she'd sent Alex. I also recorded a short video of him scrolling through a damning text thread for context. Alex was livid by the end. He apologized, which felt odd since I wasn't the one owed an apology, but I think he was just ashamed. He said he'd confront Lisa, but I asked him to wait until I told Mark to avoid tipping her off. He agreed. We parted with an awkward half-hug, both shaken. In my car, I texted Mark, saying I had something urgent to show him and asked to meet in person. He hasn't responded yet, but I'll update when he does. Update 3, I met Mark as planned. When he arrived at my place, he looked anxious, probably thinking something had happened to Lisa or me. I invited him in, sat him down, and said, "I'm so sorry, but I need to tell you something about Lisa." His face paled. "Is she okay?" he asked. I took a breath and said, "She's been cheating on you with a guy from her hospital, Alexander, for 6 months." Mark stared at me, half smiling like it was a joke, then saw I was serious. He asked quietly, "With who?" I told him about Alex and how I found out at the engagement party. I showed him the screenshots and video I'd prepared on my laptop, explaining everything. Mark was silent, reading the messages. The one where Lisa called him stable but dull and complained about her paranoid ex hit hard. His jaw clenched and I could see him fighting tears or rage. He muttered, "That lying," but trailed off. He asked me to send him the evidence, which I did. Then he thanked me, saying, "I had a feeling something was off. She made me feel crazy for suspecting anything." I apologized for hurting him, but said he needed to know. He nodded, saying, "You did the right thing." Things moved quickly after that. Mark left to confront Lisa immediately. I offered to be there, but he wanted to handle it alone. I paced my house for hours, waiting for news. Around midnight, Mark texted, "It's done. Wedding's off. I'll call tomorrow. Thanks." The next day, he shared the details over the phone. He confronted Lisa with the evidence. When he mentioned Alex, she broke down, not even denying it. Instead, she lashed out, calling me a backstabbing snake, trying to ruin her life. She claimed I was jealous because I'm single. Mark said she ranted until he read one of her texts aloud, which silenced her. She then pleaded, saying it meant nothing and she loved him. When that didn't work, she got defiant, accusing him of snooping, then blamed him for being distant, saying it pushed her to cheat. Mark realized there was no salvaging things. He called off the wedding and told her to move out, as the apartment was in his name. She alternated between begging and yelling. He left to stay at his brother's because he couldn't stay there. By the next day, he'd informed their families the engagement was off, though I don't know how much detail he shared. Word spread to close friends. Lisa didn't stay quiet either. I got a vicious text from her a day later, full of curses, calling me a Judas and a pathetic, lonely hag, saying, "Hope you're happy, you destroyed my life. Enjoy being my non-existent maid of honor." I didn't respond, just archived the chat and moved on. Update 4, here's how things have settled. Lisa's family blames me for the fallout. They've cut contact, which hurts since I've known her parents and sister since I was a teen. They were like family. But they're angry and need someone to blame, and I'm the easy target. Lisa told them I meddled and blew things out of proportion, making me the villain. They'd rather believe that than accept her actions. I'm not reaching out. It's pointless trying to reason with people who have decided I'm the problem. So I've lost that second family, but I guess they were only family when I stayed silent. Lisa and I haven't spoken since our fight. Besides her angry text, there's been no contact. Our friendship is over, and I'm at peace with that. Mark and I have kept in touch. He came over recently to return some of Lisa's things I'd lent her, like a dress catalog and books. We shared a beer and talked for hours. It was healing for both of us. He thanked me again, saying, "She made me feel like I was losing my mind." He'd had suspicions for months. Lisa was secretive with her phone and came home late. When he questioned her, she'd call him paranoid, making him apologize for doubting her. That's textbook gaslighting. Surprisingly, Alex reached out to Mark. He got Mark's contact, likely through a coworker, and texted an apology, saying he didn't know Lisa was engaged and would never have gotten involved otherwise. Mark showed me the text. It was genuine. Alex offered to talk if it would help and said he was disgusted to have been part of the deception. Mark hasn't decided if he'll respond, but it gave him some closure knowing Alex was also lied to. I'm oddly glad Alex isn't a total jerk. The wedding is off, and deposits on venues are likely lost. Not my issue, though I feel for Mark's family. Lisa moved out of their apartment and is staying with her sister. She's probably spinning a story to save face, but the evidence is clear. I haven't spread the details beyond those who needed to know, but word got out. Some mutual friends asked me, and I told them the truth. I'm not covering for her.